Back in the 1950s and 1960s, Mississippi was the symbol of the worst this nation had to offer. People wrote protest songs about it. It was a third world country right here in North America. It had horrible racism, apartheid-level segregation, plantations, sharecroppers, crooked courts with hanging judges, violence, desperate poverty, exploitation, you name it. Mississippi Goddamn. That was the name of the song Nina Simone sang about it. Mississippi Goddamn. And Phil Oakes wrote Here's to the Great State of Mississippi, which included the lines, Here's to the land you've torn out the heart of. Mississippi, find yourself another country to be part of, which has to be one of the best uses of a preposition at the end of a sentence in modern times. Now, the question of the day is Indiana the new Mississippi? Look, it's got this horrible gay segregation law. They're trying to fix that now, they say, with a new amendment, but who even passes a law like that? So how sincere are they about fixing it? Now, what people are missing about that gay segregation law is that it's part of a discussion the right has been having for a long time, and it's part of a war the right has been fighting for a long time. They've been claiming for years and years that it's discrimination against Christians, and it's always just the fundamentalist Christians whose rights they care about, that somehow it's discrimination or a trampling of the right of fundamentalist Christians who don't bend to the will of their authoritarian deity. And by the way, I'm not anti-God. I'm anti-bigoted God. I like the other one, the loving one, the merciful one, but that's a conversation for another day. And let's remember, by the way, they're making this argument just as they were making it 10 years ago about pharmacists. They even won some exemptions in federal law where pharmacists did not have to provide the morning after pill or contraceptives when they were talking about the morning after pill. They didn't even have to provide contraceptives if they didn't want to. Now, what was wrong with that? Why can't you just go to the pharmacy down the street? I'll tell you why. Because in many parts of this country, there is only one pharmacy within accessible distance. So if that pharmacist decides that they have a moral problem with any kind of pharmaceutical or drug, then they are denying the people of that region access to it. And here's an interesting thing, too, about the whole pharmacy discussion. You notice that they never have a religious problem with Viagra, do they? You know, they should think about that. If you can't rouse yourself to do the deed anymore, maybe it's because God doesn't want you getting any. You never hear that argument from authoritarians, though, do you? I'm sorry, sir, your record says you're not married. I can't sell you this Viagra. It troubles my conscience. You know, I guess their God is a lot stricter with women than any God you'll find in the holy books, because their God seems to single women out for special treatment. Now, don't get me wrong, by the way. They're free to think that contraceptives are a sin. But if your religious beliefs forbid you from selling any and all of the prescription drugs currently available in the United States, guess what? Then don't be a pharmacist. The great religious heroes of the past just didn't do work that troubled their conscience. Gandhi was a vegetarian, and you know what he wasn't? A butcher. Can you imagine Gandhi's butcher shop? Excuse me, Mr. Gandhi, I'd like a lamb shank, please. Sorry, I don't carry it. How about a couple chicken breasts? Nope, don't carry that either. Want some tofu? That's not going to happen. Gandhi's butcher shop, people don't go into lines of business that are against their principles. Look, a lot of Muslims don't believe in selling alcohol. So you know what? They don't own liquor stores. Problem solved. Could I get a fifth of scotch, please? Nope. Sorry, I've got these candy bars here. They'll want a Snickers. No, they just don't do it. They don't try to impose their beliefs on others. That's why you don't see Gandhi's butcher shop or the Dalai Lama's gun shop or the Zoroastrian Firefighters Association. You'll have to think about that one for a minute. People just, look, you don't go into businesses where you'll have to violate your principles to do the job, because you know what? It's your principles we're talking about, not other people's. How exactly are you authoritarian believers being oppressed by selling flowers for gay weddings? Excuse me, could you give me a nice spring bouquet and put a card in there that says, congratulations, Adam and Steve? Wow, oppression. Oh, could you throw in some baby's breath with that bouquet? Look, that's not like being sent to a re-education camp. Okay, it takes 5 minutes and you can even make a few bucks on the deal. If you feel guilty about it, you can throw those dollars in the collection plate on Sunday. Same thing with baking cakes for gay couples. That oppresses you? Here, I'll help you out with some advice. Bake a really lousy cake. They'll tell all their friends to go somewhere else. If you need some tips, by the way, on how to prepare food badly, give me a call. I'm an expert. But of course they wouldn't do that because they want it both ways. They want to express their outrage. They want to drive practices they don't like back into the closet. And they also want to make money. They don't mind baking the cake. They just want to keep gay people in the closet by not letting them openly put their names on the icing. Well, you know what? That's not their decision to make. You say it violates your principles to sanction gay marriage, so the law should protect your bigotry and discrimination. But here's another thing that's interesting. That's exactly the argument they used a century ago to keep discriminating against black people. They called Africans the children of Ham and said they were the descendants of the Canaanites, cursed by Noah. They used that logic to justify slavery in the 18th and 19th century. You can look it up. It didn't work then, and it won't work now because bigoted beliefs they are protected as speech, but they are not protected as action which oppresses others. So knock it off, Indiana. But that's not the only horrible thing that Indiana's doing. Indiana is also where they've got this feticide case, as they call it, where a woman is being imprisoned. She's been sentenced to 20 years. I could look it up. It might be 22 years for, yes, let's see. Let's take a look right here. 20 years for feticide. A woman who says that she miscarried. They are accusing her, and in fact have convicted her of negligence in the handling of her fetus as a dependent, and they have put her in prison. We are actually in Indiana imprisoning women for how they treat their own bodies. That, too, is the great state of Indiana. And I just wrote a piece for Salon.com about how the Indiana toll road is the highway to hell, the hell of privatized government services, and the hell of a world where bankers get rich and everybody else suffers. Here's how that worked. We'll keep it short, but basically they privatized the Indiana toll road. The tolls are very high. And by the way, this road goes through Gary, Indiana, which is 84.4% black, and where the unemployment rate is through the roof. It goes through South Bend, or by South Bend, where they also have terrible unemployment. Elkhart, Indiana, where the statistics look a little better. But again, in all these places, people have left the workforce. A lot of unemployment. They used to make brass band instruments and recreational vehicles in Elkhart. Now, people are paying through the nose. Other people are getting rich putting together these privatization deals. And guess what? The privatization company went bankrupt. They're saying now that they're not maintaining the road, that there are long waits at the toll booths, and that there is a smell of urine in the restrooms because they're not cleaning them properly. So they just sold it again. And again, the bankers made hundreds of millions. They sold it again for $5.7 billion to investment groups that include America's pension funds. So they are also, in my prediction, going to go bankrupt in Indiana and be paying the price for Indiana's right-wing privatization craze. Yep, Indiana going to hell in a handbasket. The old song said, Indiana wants me. You remember that song? But Indiana doesn't want me. I can't go back there. Indiana, goddamn. I haven't been there in a while, but I'm guessing Mississippi, it's probably still Mississippi, but now so is Indiana. I look forward to welcoming both these states back to the United States of America, which we know has its problems, but at least has a little something called the Constitution. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is the Zero Hour.